The spaceport on Arden was always busy. Ships came and went, hauling metals, water, and sometimes strange cargo from the far reaches of space. Among the pilots working there was a man named Sam. He lived alone in a small room near the outer docks, close to the salvage yards. Sam worked as a salvage pilot, pulling broken ships back to safety or carrying heavy containers that no one else wanted to move. Sam was known for being reliable, quiet, and careful. People respected his work, but they also whispered that he had no friends and spent his nights alone. Years ago, during a border skirmish, Sam had lost the partner who once shared his small ship. Since then, he kept to himself, fixing machines, working late, and speaking only when necessary. On one ordinary morning, Sam received a call from the port authority. A freighter had gone dark just outside the colony's orbit. Its engines failed and the crew needed help to bring it in. Sam prepared his tug, checked the cables, and launched into space. The freighter was a massive block of steel and containers. Lights flickered across its hull, showing damage from micrometeors. Sam guided his tug carefully, attached the cables, and towed the freighter toward the dock. It took hours, but he never complained. He preferred silence and worked to meaningless talk. When the freighter was finally docked, Sam stepped into the repair bay. That was where he first saw Maya and her daughter Asha. Maya ran a small repair stall near the corner of the bay. She was known for her patience and skill with smaller machines. Her hands were steady and she worked with a calm smile that made people trust her. Asha, her little daughter, stayed near her side most days. Asha was small with bright eyes and endless energy. She liked to watch machines move, often asking questions others found annoying but harmless. Sam entered the bay, carrying a piece of damaged drone equipment. He wanted it fixed before his next trip. As he placed the part on the counter, Asha climbed onto a stool and leaned toward him. "Are you lonesome?" the girl asked with a curious look. Sam blinked. He had not expected such a question from a child he had just met. Maya quickly pulled her daughter back. "Asha, that is not a proper thing to say. Apologize." But Asha shook her head. "He looks lonesome." "Mama, don't you think he looks lonesome?" Sam gave a small laugh, the first in many weeks. "Maybe I do," he said softly. "But that is not a bad thing. Sometimes quiet is good." Asha tilted her head. "If you are lonesome, then marry my mom. She's kindest." Maya's face turned red and she scolded her daughter again. "Asha, stop this nonsense." She looked at Sam with an embarrassed smile. "I am sorry. Children speak without thinking." Sam shook his head. "It is fine. No harm done." He paid for the repair and left, but the words stayed with him longer than he expected. Over the next few days, Sam returned to the bay again and again. His tug needed constant work, and Maya's stall was the only one that treated both man and machine with care. Asha was always there watching him, sometimes asking if he was still lonesome. Sam answered with a shrug or a smile, but inside the question stirred something he had buried long ago. The colony of Arden was not a grand place. It was a small human settlement built on a rocky moon. Domes of steel and glass held the air. Tunnels carried people from one section to another. Most of the colony survived by trading metals mined from the deep rock. Alien ships often came to buy resources, but they looked down on humans, treating them as workers rather than equals. Still, humans had made a home here. They built schools, markets, and workshops. In the market, stalls were full of food grown in hydroponic farms, clothes made from recycled fabric, and tools built from scrap. Children ran through the narrow alleys laughing. Workers met after long shifts, sharing meals. Sam often walked through the market at night, watching but never joining. Maya's stall was different from the others. She never overcharged, never refused to help, and always gave a smile even to strangers. People said she kept the community's machines alive, and many came to her for advice. Asha, though young, was already known for her bold tongue. People laughed at her questions and loved her energy. One afternoon, while Sam was adjusting his tug in the dock, a heavy cargo slab broke free from a crane. The metal piece swung wildly and fell toward the street where Maya and Asha were walking. Without thinking, Sam rushed forward. He grabbed Asha in his arms and pulled Maya aside, just as the slab crashed into the ground, shaking the pavement. Dust filled the air and alarms rang out. Maya held Asha close, trembling. "Thank you," she whispered. Sam nodded. "It is fine." "She is safe." Asha looked up at him, wide-eyed. "See, Mama, he is not just lonesome. He is brave, too." Maya gave Sam a grateful look that lasted longer than words. That night, Sam could not sleep. The colony buzzed with news of the accident. Workers said the alien cranes were unreliable, but no one dared complain. Sam thought of Asha's small voice calling him brave. It had been years since anyone said such words to him. He realized he cared, even if he had tried to bury that part of himself. Meanwhile, outside the colony, news spread of an incoming alien envoy. The Voran Collective, an advanced species that controlled many trade routes, was sending a diplomat to Arden. The envoy's visit was important. If the Voran agreed to trade directly with the colony, humans would gain stability and protection. If they refused, the colony would remain weak and ignored. The colony leaders prepared for the visit. They cleaned halls, repaired broken lights, and trained speakers. Every citizen wondered if this would change their future. Sam, however, thought little of politics. He cared only for his ship and his work, yet fate had other plans. The port authority called him again. A shipment of delicate supplies needed to be ferried from the outer ring to the central dome before the envoy arrived. The job was risky, requiring steady hands and quick thinking. Sam was chosen because no one else trusted the old tug the way he did. He agreed. Work was work. But as he prepared, he thought of Asha and her fearless words. "Are you lonesome? Then marry my mom. She's kindest." He shook his head with a small smile, but deep down he wondered why those words felt heavier than the cargo he hauled every day. The day before the envoy's arrival, the colony buzzed with nervous energy. Flags were hung and workers polished the metal floors. Sam guided his tug carefully through the tunnels, moving the supplies. At one point, a cable snapped, threatening to send the cargo into the walls. With calm skill, Sam used his thrusters to steady the load and locked it back in place. The port officers watched in relief. When Sam finally docked the supplies, he passed by Maya's stall again. Asha ran to him and tugged his sleeve. "You are not lonesome anymore, right?" she asked with a grin. Sam looked at her, then at Maya, who stood nearby with a warm but cautious smile. He did not know how to answer, so he simply said, "Not as much as before." For the first time in many years, Sam felt that maybe he was part of something more than just work. The colony prepared for the alien envoy, but for Sam, a small voice from a little girl had already begun to change his world. The colony of Arden was full of whispers on the day the Voran envoy arrived. People lined the central dome, eager to catch a glimpse of the alien ship that descended slowly through the upper atmosphere. The craft was shaped like a silver disk, its surface shining with strange patterns. Engines hummed softly, steady but not loud, as if the ship wanted to show control rather than power. Sam did not join the crowd. He was busy preparing his tug for the next assignment. Work was his shield. He told himself that politics had nothing to do with him, yet even as he checked the cables and fuel levels, he felt the same nervous air that hung across the colony. Everyone knew the visit could decide their future. Later in the day, Sam returned to Maya's stall. He carried a set of broken relay parts he had promised to bring for her inspection. Maya greeted him with her calm smile, and Asha popped up from behind a crate. "You came back," Asha said cheerfully. Sam placed the parts on the counter. "Yes, I had these lying in storage. Thought you could make use of them." Maya examined the pieces, her hands steady and skilled. "These are still good. With a little work, they can be useful again." "Thank you, Sam." Before he could reply, a sudden commotion broke out in the street. A group of workers struggled to control a heavy drone that had gone out of alignment. Its thrusters fired randomly, and the machine spun dangerously toward a group of stalls. People shouted and scattered. Without thinking, Sam rushed forward. He grabbed a nearby hook and swung it onto the drone, forcing it against the wall. Sparks flew, but Sam held his ground. Maya ran to help, pressing the emergency switch that finally cut the power. The drone collapsed with a loud thud. Asha clapped her hands with excitement. "See, Mama, he saved everyone again." "He is not lonesome. He is brave." Sam caught his breath and gave her a tired smile. "Maybe just lucky," he said, but Asha shook her head. "No, brave." The people nearby cheered, and someone said that Sam always seemed to appear when things went wrong. For the first time in years, Sam felt the warmth of voices that praised him, not just for work but for courage. That evening, Maya invited Sam to sit with them for a meal. They shared simple food, vegetables from the farms, and bread baked by neighbors. It was not grand, but it felt alive. Asha asked endless questions about ships, stars, and space. Maya listened quietly, her eyes soft as she watched the two talk. Sam realized how long it had been since he sat with others, sharing food without feeling like a stranger. When Asha repeated her bold line again, "If you are lonesome, then marry my mom, she is kindest," Sam laughed openly. Maya covered her face in embarrassment, but Sam said gently, "Your daughter has courage. She says what she feels." For the first time in years, he felt less like a ghost and more like a man among people. The next morning, the Voran envoy named Rin met with the colony leaders. The Voran were tall, their bodies covered in smooth plates that looked like polished stone. Their voices were calm and deep. They valued rules, order, and structure above all else. Rin, the elder envoy, spoke with slow words that carried weight. The leaders of Arden welcomed Rin with careful speeches. They promised loyalty, offered trade, and showed the best of their colony. Yet Rin's eyes often wandered to the people in the crowd. The envoy seemed less interested in promises and more curious about how humans lived. During the talks, a problem arose. A rival trading faction challenged the colony's right to negotiate. They claimed humans were too reckless, too weak, and too dependent on luck. The debate grew heated, and the meeting was suspended until the issue could be settled. On that same day, a call for help came from the outer ring. A group of workers had been stranded when a corridor collapsed. The life support in that area was failing, and no one knew how to reach them in time. The colony leaders hesitated. The official rescue ships were too large to pass through the damaged tunnels. Time was running out. Sam, hearing the call through his comm, prepared his tug without waiting for orders. His ship was small, built for salvage, and he knew it could squeeze through the broken corridors. He launched quickly, guiding his tug through narrow spaces that others feared. Metal scraped against metal as he pushed forward. He reached the stranded workers, attached lines, and pulled them out one by one. His hands never shook, his voice stayed calm, and his tug moved like part of his own body. When he finally returned, the rescued workers climbed out cheering. The crowd in the dock applauded. Rin, the envoy, watched silently from a balcony. The alien's expression did not change, but his eyes lingered on Sam for a long moment. Later that night, Rin requested a private meeting with the colony leaders. He asked about the human pilot who risked his ship to save others. The leaders spoke of Sam's history, his skill, and his quiet life. Rin listened carefully, noting every detail. Meanwhile, Sam walked through the market again. This time, instead of slipping quietly by, people stopped him to thank him. Maya and Asha were waiting near their stall. Asha ran to him with a wide smile. "I heard you saved many people," she said proudly. "See, Mama, I told you he is not lonesome. He is a hero." Sam knelt to her level. "A hero is just someone who does what needs to be done," he said. Asha shook her head stubbornly. "No, a hero is someone who helps because he cares." Her words struck him deeply. Sam had always told himself he worked because it kept him busy, not because he cared, but Asha's simple truth made him wonder if maybe he did care after all. That night, Sam sat alone in his room. He thought of the laughter at the meal, the warmth of voices thanking him, and the bold words of a child. "Are you lonesome? Then marry my mom. She is kindest." It was just a child's line, but it had opened something inside him. He looked at the stars through the small window of his room. For years, they had only reminded him of loss. Now they seemed to whisper of new beginnings. The next day, the talks with the Voran resumed. Rin brought up the rescue mission. He spoke of how humans acted not from orders but from loyalty to one another. He said that strength could not only be measured by power but also by compassion. The rival faction scoffed, saying humans were unpredictable and dangerous. Rin remained calm and replied, "Perhaps unpredictability is another kind of strength." Sam did not attend the talks. He was back at the docks repairing his tug. But his actions were already changing how others saw humans. When Maya came to check on him later, she brought food packed neatly in a small container. She placed it beside him and said softly, "Thank you for saving those workers. The colony will remember." Sam looked at her, unsure how to reply. Words were hard for him, but he managed. "It was nothing." Maya smiled gently. "It was not nothing. It was hope." Sam ate quietly, feeling a warmth he had not felt in years. For the first time, he thought maybe he was not doomed to live lonesome forever. The colony was still uncertain about its future. The Voran had not yet given their answer. Rival factions circled like shadows. But for Sam, a change had already begun. A little girl's words had pulled him out of silence. and the colony had begun to see him not as a quiet worker, but as someone who mattered. And somewhere deep inside, Sam himself began to believe it too. The colony of Ardeen prepared for a special demonstration arranged by the Vorin envoy Rin. The Vorin wished to see how humans solved problems under pressure. They believed in strict rules and clear paths, but they were curious about human adaptability. The colony leaders hoped the event would show that humans were worth trusting as allies. Sam did not want to join at first. He said he was just a salvage pilot, not a speaker or performer. But the leaders insisted, reminding him that his rescue during the corridor collapse had already impressed the envoy. At last, Sam agreed, though uneasily. The demonstration was set in a wide chamber at the heart of the central dome. Machines were placed around the room. Pipes, wires, and panels formed a complex system. The challenge was to restart the system after it was deliberately disabled. Alien representatives and human workers filled the seats. Maya and Asha also came, sitting near the front. Sam stood at the edge of the stage while a Vorin technician explained the rules. The system had to be restarted within 1 hour. The parts provided were incomplete, and only logical steps could be taken according to the Vorin handbook. The demonstration began. At first, Sam tried to follow the handbook. He connected wires as instructed and pressed the controls. But the system refused to start. The handbook offered no solution for the missing pieces. Some aliens in the crowd shook their heads, whispering that humans could not succeed. Sam frowned and set the handbook aside. He studied the system the way he would study a broken engine in his tug. He noticed a loose valve and a cracked panel. He remembered the relay parts he had given Maya days ago. Those parts were not perfect, but they could make something work again. He turned to the judges.
"May I use scrap?"
he asked. The Vorin technician hesitated. Scrap is not part of the instructions. Rin, the envoy, raised a hand. Allow it. Let us see how he proceeds. Sam gathered pieces of scrap lying near the edge of the room. He bent wires, patched the valve, and fit the broken panel into place with steady hands. The crowd watched in silence as he created a makeshift solution. Sparks flickered, and for a moment it seemed the system would fail. Then the lights glowed and the machine rumbled back to life. A cheer rose from the humans in the crowd. Maya clapped her hands and Asha jumped to her feet shouting, "He did it!" The Vorin remained quiet, but their eyes showed surprise. Rin stood and spoke slowly. "You did not follow the handbook." "Why?" Sam wiped sweat from his brow. "Because the handbook was not enough. Sometimes things break in ways the handbook cannot explain. You use what you have. You make it work. That is what humans do." The chamber fell silent. Some aliens murmured that rules must be respected. Others whispered that perhaps flexibility was also a kind of strength. Rin ended the debate with calm words. "We have learned something new today." After the demonstration, Maya and Asha met Sam in the hall. Asha's eyes sparkled. "I knew you would win. You always fix things. You fixed the broken drone. You fixed the big machine. You even fix people when they are sad." Sam laughed lightly, touched by her words. "Maybe not people," he said, but Asha insisted. "Yes, you fixed Mama when she was tired. You fixed me when I was scared. That means you fix people too." Maya placed a gentle hand on her daughter's shoulder. "Do not bother him too much." She looked at Sam with quiet warmth. "But she is right in her own way." Sam walked with them through the market, feeling less like an outsider. He found himself stopping by Maya's stall more often, helping repair small devices, teaching Asha how to handle tools, even cooking meals together when work ended late. Slowly, the space that had been empty in his life began to fill with small moments of connection. One evening, as the sun lamps dimmed in the dome, Sam sat with Asha on a bench. She asked him to teach her how to read the star charts. Sam showed her the constellations and the paths of trade ships. Asha listened with wide eyes. "One day I will fly too," she said. Sam smiled. "Then you must learn patience. Space is not always kind." "But you are patient," Asha replied. "So I will be too." Maya watched from nearby, her heart warming at the sight. She had lived with quiet struggles for many years, raising Asha alone while keeping the stall running. Yet for the first time she felt less alone. Sam was not only helping with machines but also bringing comfort into their lives. Meanwhile, the Vorin envoy continued to study humans. Rin asked questions about family, loyalty, and why humans work together without strict rules. Rin noticed that people often helped neighbors without expecting reward. This was strange to the Vorin, who valued structure above all else. One day Rin approached Sam directly. "You do not work only for pay," the envoy said. "You act for reasons that are not in the handbook." Why? Sam thought carefully before answering. Because people matter. Machines can be replaced. Rules can be changed. But people cannot. If someone is in danger, you help. Not because a rule says so, but because your heart says so. Rin studied him in silence, then nodded. Strange, but powerful. While these talks continued, trouble brewed at the edge of the colony. The rival trading syndicate that had tried to block the Vorin talks grew restless. They spread rumors that humans were unreliable. They even tampered with small supply routes, causing shortages. Fear rose among the people. Sam saw this fear each time he walked through the market. Stalls closed early. Workers spoke in whispers. Parents held their children close. He realized that the colony needed not only leaders in the council, but also ordinary people who were willing to stand up during crisis. When a generator in one of the domes failed, Sam organized a team of volunteers. He showed them how to use scrap parts to keep the lights running until proper repairs could be made. Maya joined, carrying tools and guiding others with patience. Asha handed out water and encouragement, telling the workers they were heroes too. By the end of the night, the dome glowed again with light. People cheered, not just for the machines, but for the spirit that kept them going. Sam felt something he had not felt in years. Purpose. He was no longer just a salvage pilot. He was part of the community, part of something larger than himself, and it had all begun with a child's simple words that broke through his silence. Later, sitting with Maya and Asha outside the stall, Sam spoke softly. "I never thought I would belong anywhere again, but maybe I was wrong." Maya looked at him, her eyes steady. "Sometimes we all need someone to remind us where we belong." Asha yawned and leaned against him, whispering, "You are not lonesome anymore." Sam smiled, watching the stars beyond the dome. For the first time in many years, he believed her. The colony of Arden still faced danger. The rival syndicate would not give up, and the Voran had not yet decided on the alliance. But hope had begun to grow, not only in Sam's heart but across the colony. Humans were showing that their true strength came not from rules or machines but from the simple power of caring for one another. The colony of Arden was restless. For days the market buzzed with both excitement and fear. The Voran envoy Rin had not yet made a final decision about the alliance. The rival trading syndicate kept sending agents to spread doubts. Some claimed the Voran would never trust humans. Others whispered that sabotage was coming. The people of Arden tried to live as normal, but everyone felt the tension in the air. Sam noticed it each time he walked through the crowded corridors. Stalls closed earlier than usual. Families hurried their children home before night cycle. Workers spoke in low voices, their eyes filled with worry. The colony had survived many hardships before, but this time the threat felt larger than anything they had faced. Maya and Asha tried to keep their days steady. Maya worked on repairing machines, refusing to let fear control her. Asha still asked questions, still laughed, though even she sensed the heavy mood around her. Sam visited often, helping with repairs or sharing small meals with them. He had grown used to their company, and without realizing it, they had become his anchor. One evening, as the three of them sat outside the stall, alarms suddenly rang through the dome. A voice echoed over the loudspeakers. "Emergency in water conduit 6. Immediate response required." Sam's heart tightened. The water conduits were lifelines. Without them, the colony could not survive. He rushed to the control room, Maya and Asha close behind. Inside, chaos ruled. Screens showed that Conduit 6, one of the largest pipelines carrying recycled water, had been sabotaged. Explosions had torn sections apart. Entire districts faced the risk of losing their supply. Engineers argued about what to do. Some said the system could not be saved. Others wanted to shut down the whole network to prevent more damage, but that would leave half the colony without water. Sam stepped forward. "Show me the maps," he said firmly. The engineers hesitated. Sam was only a salvage pilot, not a council member, but after his past rescues, they trusted his hands. One of them pushed the map onto the screen. Sam studied the lines and valves. He saw narrow service tunnels that no large ship could pass through, but his tug could. If he could guide it into the broken section, he might reroute the water through backup pipes. It will not hold forever, one engineer warned. At most a few weeks. Then we use those weeks to build something stronger, Sam replied. We cannot give up now. Without waiting for approval, Sam ran to his tug. Volunteers followed. Some engineers, some workers, and even young apprentices who refused to stay idle. Maya organized them, handing out tools and supplies. Asha, though too small to join the heavy work, ran between groups carrying water and food. Her voice rang out in the tunnels, telling everyone they were heroes for helping. Inside the conduit tunnels, the air was thick with steam. Water sprayed from broken pipes and sparks flew from damaged panels. The roar of rushing liquid made it hard to hear. Sam guided his tug carefully, squeezing it through tight spaces not meant for ships. His hands gripped the controls with steady focus. Volunteers worked from outside, welding plates over cracks and redirecting flow into new channels. Maya coordinated them with calm strength, giving orders with clarity. Sam patched leaks from the inside, using whatever scrap he could find. At one point, a valve burst, nearly flooding his tug. He closed it with a heavy chain and shouted through the comm, "Try the backup channel now." The pipes groaned, but slowly the water began to flow into the alternate path. The crowd of workers cheered as the gauges rose again. For the first time since the sabotage, hope filled the tunnels. Above, in the council hall, Rin and the Vorian observers watched the scene through live feeds. The rival syndicate stood nearby, smirking. "Look," one of their agents said. "This is chaos. Humans act without rules, without order. They will destroy themselves." Rin did not answer at once. His eyes stayed on the screen where Sam and the volunteers worked side by side. People were crawling through steam, handing tools to strangers, risking burns and exhaustion, yet none of them gave up. He saw Maya leading calmly, Asha encouraging with fearless words, and Sam pushing his tug beyond its limits. "This is not chaos," Rin said finally. "This is loyalty." The rival agent tried to argue, but Rin silenced him with a single look. Hours passed before the system stabilized. When Sam finally emerged from the tunnels, soaked and exhausted, the crowd waiting outside erupted in applause. Maya rushed forward, relief written on her face. Asha hugged his arm tightly and cried, "I knew you would save us again." Sam smiled weakly, too tired for words. But her faith in him gave him strength. Later that night, the council gathered with Rin. The envoy spoke in his calm, deep voice. "We have seen how humans act in crisis. You do not follow rules blindly. You do not wait for orders. You act because you care for each other. That is strength no handbook can teach." The council waited in silence as Rin continued. "The Vorian will choose the colony of Arden as our ally. We will protect your trade routes, and we will learn from you as you may learn from us." Cheers filled the hall. The colony leaders bowed, their voices full of gratitude. The rival syndicate left in defeat, their plans undone. News spread quickly. People poured into the streets, celebrating with laughter and music. For the first time in years, hope filled every corner of Arden. Children danced under the lights, and workers raised cups to toast their future. Sam did not join the large celebrations. He sat quietly outside Maya's stall, too tired to seek noise. Maya joined him, carrying 2 cups of warm tea. She handed one to him and sat down. Asha curled up beside them, already drifting to sleep after a long day of running through tunnels. "You saved the colony," Maya said softly. Sam shook his head. "Not me alone. Everyone helped, but you led them," she replied. "You gave them courage." Sam looked at her, unsure how to answer. He had never thought of himself as a leader. He only acted because he could not stand by when people were in danger. Yet hearing her words, he felt a quiet pride. Maya smiled gently. "Do you remember the first day Asha spoke to you? She said you were lonesome. I think she was right then. But you are not lonesome anymore." Sam looked at Asha, sleeping peacefully, and then back at Maya. For the first time in years, he allowed himself to believe he had found a place he belonged. Far above, Rin sent his final report to the Voran Council. His words were simple but powerful. Humans are not just traders of minerals. They are traders of hope. Their strength lies in family, in loyalty, and in courage. They are unpredictable, but perhaps that is what the galaxy needs. With that choice, a door opened not only for the colony, but for humanity itself. The celebration in Arden lasted for many days. Lights glowed across the domes. Banners stretched high and music filled the halls. For a people who had lived under constant fear of losing trade or falling to sabotage, The alliance with the Vorin felt like a miracle. Families who once whispered in worry now spoke with joy. Children who once played in shadows now laughed openly in the squares. Sam watched it all quietly. He had grown used to life on the edges, but now people greeted him warmly wherever he went. Workers clapped his shoulder. Mothers thanked him for saving water during the crisis. Young apprentices followed him with admiration, asking how to fly tugs and how to stay calm under pressure. He was no longer just a salvage pilot. In their eyes, he was part of the colony's heart. Maya noticed the change too. She still worked hard at her repair stall, but now customers came not only for service but to share stories. They told her how Sam had inspired them, and how her calm orders during the conduit crisis had given them courage. Asha enjoyed the attention most of all. She ran between groups proudly, telling anyone who would listen that her words had brought Sam into their lives. Yet beneath the celebrations, challenges still waited. The sabotage had weakened parts of the colony. Supplies ran thin faster than before. Some feared that the rival syndicate would not give up so easily. And though the Vorin alliance promised safety, it also brought new responsibilities. One evening, Rin requested to meet Sam, Maya, and Asha in private. The envoy arrived with quiet dignity, his tall frame casting long shadows in the glow of the repair stall's lights. He sat with them on simple chairs, refusing the council's offer of a grand hall. "I have spoken with my council," Rin said. "They agree Arden has proven worthy. But alliances must be lived, not only written. We ask that one of your own travel with us to learn our ways and show us yours." Sam looked at Maya, then at Asha, unsure of what to say. Leaving the colony was not easy. He had found a place here after years of drifting. Yet Rin's words carried weight. It was not a demand, but an invitation. Maya spoke first. "If someone must go, it should be Sam. He knows the stars. He knows how to survive where others cannot. And more than that, he understands what family means. That is what you want to learn from humans." Asha's eyes grew wide. "Does that mean Sam will leave?" Rin turned his gaze toward her. "Not leave forever. A journey. He will return stronger, and with him new bonds will grow." Sam sighed. "If this is what will help Arden, I will go." Asha shook her head, holding his arm. "No, you are part of us now. You cannot go alone." Her words stirred something deep inside Sam. For years he had wandered alone, but now the thought of leaving this family hurt more than any wound he had ever taken. He looked at Maya. Her calm face hid her feelings, but her eyes betrayed sadness. After a long pause, Sam said, "If I go, they must come with me." Maya blinked, surprised. "Sam," he continued, "you asked me once if I was still lonesome. The answer is no, and I will not become lonesome again." Rin studied him carefully, then inclined his head. "Perhaps that is the true lesson we seek." "Very well. The three of you may come." The decision changed everything. News spread fast across the colony. Some cheered, proud that their own would represent humanity among the Vorin. Others worried about losing them, especially Sam, who had become a symbol of strength. Yet most understood that this was a chance to grow beyond Arden. The day of departure arrived sooner than expected. A Vorin ship descended into the colony dome, its silver hull gleaming under the lights. Crowds gathered, waving banners and calling out names. Children ran with flowers, tossing them into the air. The colony council gave speeches about unity and courage. Sam, Maya, and Asha stood together, simple bags on their shoulders. Sam wore his old pilot jacket, patched and worn but still strong. Maya carried her toolkit, refusing to travel without it. Asha carried nothing but a small notebook where she wrote her thoughts. As they walked toward the ship, people reached out to shake their hands or offer blessings. Many called Sam a hero. He smiled, but his heart was heavy. He did not think of himself as a hero. He thought of himself as someone who finally found a home. Inside the ship, everything felt strange. The corridors glowed with soft light, the walls smooth and curved. The Vorin crew bowed slightly as they passed, respectful but curious. They had never lived so closely with humans before. The journey through space was unlike anything Asha had known. She pressed her face against the viewport, staring at stars rushing past. She asked endless questions. About engines, about planets, about the way the Vorin measured time. The crew, though reserved, answered with patience. Maya learned quickly too, studying their machines, sketching diagrams in her notebook, and comparing them to human tools. Sam spent his days both training and listening. The Voreen wanted to know how humans made decisions in crisis, how they trusted each other without strict rules, how they could be unpredictable yet united. Sam explained with stories from Arden, stories of volunteers working in steam-filled tunnels, of children who gave courage when adults faltered, of a mother and daughter who turned a wandering pilot into family. The more he spoke, the more Rin and the crew understood. Strength was not only in weapons or technology. Strength was in the bonds that could not be broken. Weeks passed. The ship visited Vorin stations, vast platforms with glowing domes, filled with traders from across the stars. At first, some doubted the humans. They called them reckless, too emotional. But when they heard Sam's story, when they saw Maya repair a broken Vorin device in minutes, when they saw Asha stand boldly before a crowd and declare that kindness could change the galaxy, doubts faded. Everywhere they went, the three humans left a mark. Sam's steady presence, Maya's quiet skill, and Asha's fearless words painted a picture of humanity no rival syndicate could tarnish. Finally, the journey brought them back to Arden. The colony greeted them with a welcome even greater than before. Songs filled the air, lights painted the domes, and families gathered in the streets. The Vorin ship landed, and Rin stepped out beside the three humans. He raised his voice so all could hear. "We have learned what makes humans strong. It is not only courage, not only skill. It is the way they choose to stand together. Even when alone, they seek family. Even when afraid, they offer hope. This is why we call them allies." The crowd roared with pride. Children lifted flowers. Workers shouted Sam's name. Sam looked at Maya and Asha. He thought of the first moment Asha had spoken to him, calling him lonesome. She had been right once, but not anymore. Now he had them, and through them he had a place in the colony, in the Alliance, and in the galaxy itself. That night, as celebrations echoed across Arden, Sam sat quietly again at the repair stall. Maya worked beside him, her hand steady as always. Asha leaned against his arm, writing in her notebook. She read her words aloud. "If you are lonesome, find someone to share your heart. If you are afraid, find someone to stand with you. If you are kind, you will never be forgotten." Sam smiled. "Those are good words." "They are true words," Asha replied. For the first time in years, Sam felt complete. He was no longer drifting among the stars, searching for purpose. He had found it here, in family, in loyalty, and in hope. And as he looked out at the stars beyond the dome, he knew that whatever challenges came, they would face them together. The colony of Arden slept peacefully that night, unaware that history had turned. For what began as the words of a little girl had grown into a bond that would reshape the path of humans among the stars. And so, the story of Sam, Maya, and Asha became not only a tale for Arden, but for all who believed that kindness could change even the vast silence of space.